The rise of drug cartels has brought unprecedented violence and brutality to many regions around the world. These criminal organizations, fueled by the illegal drug trade, have become notorious for their heinous acts and ruthless tactics. Among the leaders of these cartels, some individuals have gained a reputation for their particularly brutal attacks that have shocked the world. In this video, we'll explore the most brutal cartel leader attacks, examining their methods, motives, and impact on society. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at the most brutal cartel leader attacks. Yeah, you heard it right. One of the most infamous cartel leaders, known for his brutality, was Pablo Escobar, the leader of the notorious Medellin cartel in Colombia during the 1970s and 1980s. Escobar was responsible for countless brutal attacks, including bombings, assassinations, and massacres. One of the most brutal attacks attributed to Escobar was the bombing of the Avianca Flight 203 in 1989, which resulted in the deaths of all 107 passengers and crew on board. Escobar orchestrated the bombing in an attempt to assassinate a presidential candidate who was on the flight, showing his willingness to kill innocent civilians to achieve his goals. Another brutal cartel leader known for his merciless attacks was Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the former leader of the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. El Chapo gained a reputation for his brutality through his involvement in the Mexican drug wars, which have claimed tens of thousands of lives. One of the most brutal attacks attributed to El Chapo was the massacre of 43 students in Iguala, Mexico, in 2014. It is believed that El Chapo ordered the attack in retaliation for the students' alleged interference with his drug operations. The students were abducted, tortured, and brutally murdered. Their bodies burned beyond recognition. The atrocity shocked the world and exposed the brutal violence of the cartels in Mexico. The Zetas, a brutal Mexican drug cartel known for its extreme violence, was led by Miguel Angel Trevino Morales, also known as Z40. Trevino Morales gained a reputation for his ruthless attacks, which often involved sadistic methods of torture and mutilation. One of the most brutal attacks attributed to Trevino Morales was the massacre of 72 migrants in San Fernando, Mexico. In 2010, the migrants who were traveling to the United States were kidnapped by the Zetas and brutally executed when they refused to work for the cartel. Their bodies were found in a mass grave with signs of extreme torture, such as burn marks, broken bones, and mutilations, demonstrating the brutality of the Zetas under Trevino Morales' leadership. In addition to attacks against civilians, cartel leaders have also targeted law enforcement officials and government authorities. For example, Arturo Beltran Leyva, the former leader of the Beltran Leyva cartel in Mexico, gained a reputation for his brutal attacks against law enforcement officials. Beltran Leyva orchestrated the killing of Edgar Eusebio Millán Gómez, the chief of Mexico's federal police, in 2008, as well as the murder of Armando Dorantes, the mayor of the town of Guadalupe, Distrito Bravo, in 2009. These attacks were meant to send a chilling message to law enforcement and government officials who dared to challenge the cartel's power, and demonstrated the lengths to which cartel leaders would go to protect their criminal empires. The motives behind these brutal attacks by cartel leaders are often multifaceted. One of the main drivers is the pursuit of power and wealth. The illegal drug trade generates billions of dollars in profits, and cartel leaders will go to extreme measures to protect their lucrative operations and maintain their dominance in the criminal underworld. Cartel leaders also use brutality as a means to instill fear and intimidate their rivals, as well as the general population. By using extreme violence, they aim to establish a reputation for ruthlessness and send a clear message that any form of opposition or betrayal will be met with swift and brutal retribution. Additionally, cartel leaders often resort to brutal attacks as a way to assert control over their own members, ensuring loyalty and obedience through fear and intimidation. In some cases, these attacks may also be driven by personal vendettas or a desire for revenge against perceived enemies or rivals. The impact of these brutal cartel leader attacks on society is devastating. The violence inflicted by cartels results in countless deaths, injuries, and psychological trauma to individuals and communities. Innocent civilians, including women, children, and elderly individuals, often bear the brunt of these attacks, as cartels show little regard for human life in their pursuit of power and profit. Massacres, bombings, and mutilations carried out by cartel leaders leave scars on communities that can last for generations, creating a culture of fear, distrust, and trauma. Furthermore, these attacks have far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate victims. They undermine the rule of law, weaken the institutions of governance, and erode the social fabric of affected regions. Cartels often engage in corruption, intimidation, and coercion to ensure their operations go unchecked, further destabilizing communities and fostering a climate of lawlessness. The impact of cartel violence can also extend to neighboring countries and beyond, as drug trafficking networks span across borders, fueling transnational crime and threatening regional and international security. Efforts to combat cartel violence and dismantle their operations have been challenging and complex. Governments and law enforcement agencies in affected countries often face significant obstacles, including corruption, lack of resources, and the inherent danger of confronting well-armed and ruthless cartels. Despite ongoing efforts to curb cartel violence, the problem persists in many regions, and the cycle of brutality continues. In response to the brutal attacks carried out by cartel leaders, governments and law enforcement agencies have employed various strategies. These strategies often involve a combination of military, law enforcement, and judicial actions aimed at disrupting the operations of cartels, seizing their assets, and bringing their leaders to justice. However, the effectiveness of these strategies have been mixed, and the fight against cartels remains a complex and ongoing battle. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.